G'day everyone, Aussie Mark here with the Buck Hoodlum survival knife. Really quite excited to bring this to you guys. Just got this a few days ago in the mail from the United States, and from what I can see these are becoming a little bit hard to get, a little bit in short supply. Buck seems to have a bit of a hit on their hands with this one. I looked at the Buck site just before coming down here to make this review, and currently it would appear they're out of stock. I got this from my usual retailer. They had stock, much to my surprise, so I pulled the trigger immediately and ordered one. And it's entirely possible that this is... So, what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at, basically, it's a survival knife, camp knife. This is the knife that's intended, I guess, out in your wilderness to do pretty much everything for you, from, you know, everything from small tasks right up to and including shelter building, etc. It's made of a 1/4-inch slab of 5160 steel, and beautifully finished. As you can, we'll bring it up to the light there. It's got a I don't know what colour you'd call it. It's kind of an OD green finish, I guess. See there the logo on the side, and of course it's made in the USA. The other side of the blade, just out of interest, is quite plain. That's the side you're going to be seeing this review, mostly because I'm left-handed, so I'll be tending to handle the knife on the other side. I'll put it that way at the moment because it looks really flash. It's a full flat ground blade, and the blade length is 10 inches or 259mm. Blade shape, I guess I consider it a drop point. It has got a slight drop there away from the spine. Lots of belly on the blade, and of course a very nice long run of plain edge. There is no serrations, nor is there any serrated option in this knife, and that in my view is a good thing. I'm a big believer in plain edge, particularly for this kind of knife. The overall length of the knife is 15 3/4 inches, or for us metric people that comes out to 398mm. Handles are micarta, very nice to feel. They've got quite a reasonable texture. Hopefully we'll try and bring that up into focus. I don't know how well that shows up, but very nicely done. And you can see there's spaces under there. They're kind of just an off red colour. And I think it's quite a classic touch actually. It looks really nice against the other colours, so it's quite a well finished and nice knife to look at. These handle slabs do come off quite easily. You can see there they're just a straight type screw design, so you can put a normal screwdriver in there, a multi-tool or whatever. I have had the slabs off, and there is a cavity cut away in there. Now they talk about what they're calling the SMS, or shock mitigation system, for when you're battening. Don't know whether that works or not. I haven't actually done any battening. It's not something I tend to use my blades for. This is going to be, as mentioned, micarta handles, very comfortable. No sharp edges, nicely radiused, no hot spots. I'm going to go on the other side because I do prefer the left. Nice and comfortable. You can see there we've got a thumb ramp with a bit of jimping on there. Not sharp by any means. It's usable, however, so that's fine. You've got your standard grip there, or of course it's very large finger choil up here, so you can choke up on the blade, and if you're working on something there, like you're maybe trying to cut your finger off like I'm doing now, you can do that finer work with your blade. And again, that's very comfortable. No problem with that at all. The exposed tang has obviously got a nice little shape here. You can use that for hammering. The other thing it's designed to do, when I get it in the sheath later, they do say you should use it for this in the sheath, obviously, is it can hammer that way there, so you can pound with that section. Of course, doing that you'd be a bit of a mug to hold the blade in your hand like I'm doing and ham with it, so of course it does need to be in the sheath, but we'll talk about that when I bring the sheath in. There's a lot to talk about on the sheath as well. We'll just quickly run through the rest of the stats and then we can get into this. The weight of the knife and the sheath together is 23.2 ounces or 658 grams. The knife on its own, as you see before you there, 15.3 ounces or 433 grams. Quality of the knife overall, well, I think it's really good. The finish seems very high on it, and the sheath likewise. I might bring the sheath in at this point and we'll just run through that. The way this arrived, I'll put the knife back in, and much to my amazement it actually arrived with the knife mounted to suit a left-hand carry. So someone at the factory where they make these is a lefty. Hello if you're watching, well done. So that's the sheath. Now, as I said, there's a lot to talk about on this sheath. There's a lot of options on it. It comes exactly as you see before you now. So we'll talk about the retention system on it. There is a plastic inner sleeve or liner in there, and it's got quite a wide mouth on the top there for us to get the knife in and out and locate it in poor light or dark. Large drain hole down the bottom there. You can see down the bottom we've got some paracord here. just for a lanyard. I'm probably going to take that off. I don't like how it dangles around like that, and I don't tend to use leg straps, so I'll probably take that off and maybe use it for something else. Down the bottom of the sheath we've got a section here where we've got some Velcro, and these open up like this, and then in between that we've got these two sections, oops, sorry for bumping the camera, of elastic, and as you can see there, that runs straight through. Now that's designed to put whatever you want under there, and then you can Velcro over the top. I was going to put a smaller knife under there, but my fear was that because that's open down the bottom, there'd be nothing to stop that sliding out. I think it'd be particularly useful for softer things, possibly, I don't know, paracord, maybe anything that's soft where it would, when you strap those up, it would sort of form to that shape and stop it sliding out. I don't know that I'll use that section much. I'm not particularly into carrying a lot of weight on knife sheaths, but it's there if you need it anyway, so it's probably got its uses for some people. Further up the sheath we have the ubiquitous pocket. Now this is actually quite a decent sort of pocket. The only fault I have found of it, and I've got some gear in there at the moment, and I'll just point out to you, down the bottom there are, and it's a good idea, there's two drain holes in it. This one I actually popped out earlier. I've got a fire steel in there, and it actually popped that out, so they're not, those rivets aren't particularly well fastened in there. I've just glued it back in. It's probably not a big deal, but potentially that could be a problem down the track if it starts to fray, so just keep it on that if you do get one of these. The pocket opens obviously with this clip here, which is adjustable. We'll just undo that, and the first thing you'll notice here is that there's an elastic section here, and what that does is it sort of crimps that across the top so that your contents won't just slide out if you happen to be, have this laying over like it is. Now in there at the moment I've got a few items. One is a lanyard that I've done up for the knife, and we're going to use that a little bit later. I'll show you how I've set that up. I've also in here got the fire steel, if I can get it out. The one thing about this elastic is it actually makes it a little bit difficult things out, but that's better than losing it. So that's just like my Fire Scout model fire steel, just the small one. I may consider putting the larger army model in, but again, just smaller weight, and I usually carry one in my pack anyway. So I'll get rid of that for the moment. And the other thing I've got in here, and I've just purchased this as well, is a small sort of backup knife or detail knife if you like, and this is a Becker BK13 Remora, very small little fixed blade knife. We get that out, a little hollow ground. Haven't done a review of that at this point, but no doubt I will. So I'll just put that back in its little sheath, and I mean it weighs nothing, so it's nothing to have there, and the sheath doesn't add any weight, and I think gives a good bit of capability. Alright, moving on, retention of the knife itself. It's a double retention system. You've of course got the normal strap here, which is good. It's got a mil-spec fastener, and as you can see there, both sections are doubled over where that fastener goes in. There's also this elastic rope or loop section here with the a little toggle. So to get the knife out, you need to undo that, and then your knife comes out. Now, I'm not actually much of a fan of this elastic section. I don't like it. I think it has its uses. So I won't be using that much. I'll just be relying on this retention here. So what I plan to do with my sheath is I'm just going to loop that around the back like so. Sorry, that went out of shot. Just nip that toggle up, and basically I'm going to leave it on there in case I ever do want to use it to retain the knife, but in general terms I'll leave it like that, and that's out of the way. And the other thing is it will avoid me accidentally cutting through that cord when I'm taking the knife in and out. But if I do need it, of course it's on the sheath, so I'm not actually going to take that off. As mentioned, you can see there the quite wide mouth of the sheath to put the knife in. It kind of funnels the knife in. The insert on its own will not retain this knife at all. It's very loose. You can hear it rattling around in there. It will just fall out. Now, you cannot just pull that out as you would with, say, the Ontario sheaths to do the heat gun mod on it. It is stitched in with a line of stitching you can see just there. You could probably, in fact I know you can, I saw a gentleman on the net who has actually sliced his across there to take it out to mod it. That's an option. I don't know that I'll do that. In reality, it's not like you're going to ever carry this thing upside down with the size of it. It'll be on my belt the way I carry it at any rate. And once it's strapped in, I don't think it's particularly noisy. I don't generally like knives to rattle. There's a little bit there, but just for general carry it's probably not an issue. If it is, I may consider doing that mod to the sheath, but at this point I'm not looking to do that. So we'll go back in. There's a little bit more on the sheath to talk about. There are two ways belt carry on this, or two heights if you like of belt carry. What you can see there is you've got this piece of Velcro which folds up like so, and that sits down, and then of course your belt just goes through there. It seems to work fine, and that's what they call the low carry. So when you've got the knife in like that, as you can see there, your belt is basically up at the top end of the knife. There is another option to carry this. I should mention at this point it's fully mollied down the back, as you'd expect these days, and it gives you an option on how you can adjust this sheath to carry a knife. So we'll just show again that belt sits virtually in line on this carry with the top of the handle. So I'm just going to pull that out of the way. You can modify your carry by doing this. You open the back of the knife up, and I have to keep moving this, it doesn't fit all into the frame. Undo the little clip down the bottom, and we're going to pull that through in a moment. But if you have a look here, if we fold this down a bit further, it will sit like that, and you can carry the knife lower down, which is how I'm going to set it up now. So this little strap here is going to fold down and be retained by the molly in this section here. So we'll pull that all the way up, just show you how this works. And what I need to do from there is, actually what I'll do is I'll feed that through that piece up in here. Bear with me, I've only experimented with this once or twice I think, so I'm still kind of figuring this out for myself. But that's okay, we can experiment together and we'll learn how it all works, I guess. So we're going to feed that molly back through now, so I've got it through that loop in the top, and now it's just a matter of feeding that all the way back down to the bottom again. So okay, here we are, we've got that set up now. And basically your belt now goes through there. Now to give you the comparison, just get that loop out of the way so I don't slice it up, which is one of my concerns. I'm just going to slide that back out of the way. And again, that works with that rope or loop or elastic out of the way at the back as well. You can use it in either way. So if we put the knife back in now, as you can see now, suddenly the knife's going to ride higher on your waist. Your belt's going to go through there. I've tried both. To be honest, I don't know which one I prefer. I don't mind this. And the advantage of this particular carry, I mentioned earlier that you could use that handle, or that piece of the pommel there, or the tang for hammering. You can only do that with the sheath in this configuration, because obviously if the sheath's set up full length, you can't hammer with it. So in some ways this is possibly the more practical way to carry the knife, and you can hold the sheath nice and safe. You're not going to cut yourself, of course, and I dare say that'd be quite effective maybe if you're knocking in tent pegs or whatever other small chores you might have around the campsite. Okay, so that's pretty much all the sheath features covered. It's a nylon sheath as mentioned. Some people of course will prefer the kydex etc. Maybe there'll be custom sheaths come on the market, but all in all a good sheath. The knife itself came very sharp, and I went out just a little bit earlier there to do some testing on it, and I attacked the garden, and as you can see went through this piece of palm. That went through in one slice, much to my surprise. I wasn't expecting to. Very, very sharp, and a very quick cut test. Much as I hate doing cut tests because I normally stuff them up at this thing, I don't think it's going to give me any trouble or embarrass me. Having said that, of course it did. That's better. Yeah. Alright, suffice to say, it came very, very sharp indeed, and no complaints in that respect. The other feature is, of course, there's a little notch in the blade. I was a little concerned when I saw that. That's for tasks like maybe bending wire or for pulling, say, items or cooking utensils out of the fire, your billy, that sort of thing. Once I have it in hand, I'm not concerned. I thought maybe that would be too deep, but there won't be any structural risks with that at all as far as the strength of the knife goes, so I'm not concerned about that. Overall, I think it's a very good knife. It's high quality. Having said that, it is not cheap. It is a lot more expensive than some other options. For example, the Ontario RTAC 2. This is a substantially more expensive knife, but you know, I think it's possibly worth it. It depends on what you want to do. As a system, combined with the sheath, with the options you have with the sheath, I think it makes for a very good survival knife system. Alright, thanks for watching, and take care. Bye for now.